There's one thing that determines whether your Bitcoin is yours or gone forever. Not your username, not your password, not your exchange account. One thing, it is called a private key. And if you don't understand how this works, you don't actually understand how your Bitcoin is secured. I'm Sats, and today we're going to make this actually make sense. Let's keep it simple. Let's start with the simplest possible version of what a private key is. A Bitcoin private key is a number, an extraordinarily large number generated randomly that gives whoever holds it the ability to spend the Bitcoin associated with it. That is literally all it is, a number that proves ownership and authorizes transactions. In practice, it looks like a long string of letters and numbers, something like a very long code. You will rarely see it in that raw form because wallets handle it in the background. But understanding what it represents is important because everything else about Bitcoin security flows from it. Now, here's where it gets interesting, and this is the part most explanations skip past too quickly. A private key and a public key are mathematically linked. When a private key is generated, a corresponding public key is derived from it automatically. From the public key, a Bitcoin address is then generated. That Bitcoin address is what you share with other people when you want to receive Bitcoin. Think of it like a letterbox. Anyone can see the address and drop something in. Only the person with the private key can open the box and take anything out. The mathematics behind this is a one-way relationship. You can derive the public key from the private key easily, but you cannot go backwards. You cannot work out the private key from the public key or the address. This is the foundation of why Bitcoin security works. Sharing your address reveals nothing about your private key. The two are connected mathematically, but the connection only works in one direction. Okay, so where does your private key actually live? This is where it gets practical, and this is the part that connects directly to everything you do as a Bitcoin holder. If your Bitcoin is on an exchange, the exchange holds your private keys. You have an account with them. The private key that controls the Bitcoin associated with your balance belongs to the exchange, not to you. This is why the phrase, "not your keys, not your coins," exists. Without the private key, you do not have direct ownership. You have a claim on the exchange's holdings. If your Bitcoin is in a self-custody wallet, whether software or hardware, the private key is generated and stored by that wallet. A software wallet stores it encrypted on your device. A hardware wallet stores it on a dedicated secure chip that never connects directly to the internet. In both cases, the private key never leaves the wallet and is never exposed during normal transactions. Now here's the connection to the seed phrase, because these two things are closely related and often confused. Your seed phrase, those 12 or 24 words, is not itself a private key. It is a master backup that your wallet uses to generate and regenerate all of your private keys. A single Bitcoin wallet can manage many Bitcoin addresses, each with its own private key. The seed phrase is the root from which all of them grow. If you restore your wallet using the seed phrase on a new device, it regenerates every private key exactly as it was. This is why the seed phrase backs up everything, not just one address or one transaction. This is also why losing your seed phrase is so serious. It is not just losing access to one key, it is losing access to the entire structure of keys that your wallet manages. Here is something worth sitting with for a moment. The number of possible Bitcoin private keys is so large it is practically incomprehensible. There are more possible private keys than there are atoms in the observable universe. This is not a figure of speech. It is why Bitcoin cannot be broken by brute force. Nobody can guess your private key. Nobody can work backwards from your public address to find it. The mathematics makes that computationally impossible with any technology that exists or is likely to exist. Your Bitcoin is not protected by a password that someone could guess or a company that could be hacked. It is protected by mathematics. The private key is either known or it is not. And if nobody knows it, the Bitcoin it controls is inaccessible to everyone, including you. That last point is the one that matters most practically. The private key being unknowable by anyone else is what makes Bitcoin ownership real and sovereign. But it also means the responsibility for keeping it safe sits entirely with you. There is no reset. There is no recovery. There is only the key. Here is the short version. A Bitcoin private key is a number that proves ownership of Bitcoin and authorizes transactions. It is mathematically linked to a public key from which a Bitcoin address is derived. You share the address. You never share the private key. If your Bitcoin is on an exchange, the exchange holds the private keys. You hold a claim. If your Bitcoin is in self-custody, your wallet manages the private keys on your behalf. Your seed phrase is the master backup that regenerates all of your private keys. Losing it means losing access to everything that wallet controls. The number of possible private keys is so vast that guessing one is computationally impossible. Your Bitcoin is protected by mathematics, not by a company or a password. That is both its strength and your responsibility. If you want to see how private keys, addresses, and transactions all connect in practice, the video on how to read a Bitcoin transaction on a Block Explorer shows you the whole system working in real time. Watch that next. Stack smart, stay curious. See you in the next stack.